Over the years, many people have formed differing ideas on personality regarding different personality types and how people obtain their personalities and characteristics, which are commonly described as traits. A person's traits refer to their individual specific qualities and attributes, which aid to build towards a subject's overall personality and behaviour. The idea of personalities and traits were initially formed by Gordon Althorpe, who formed the trait theory. Gordon Althorpe hypothesized that people are born with their personalities and traits pre-established, with them being created through taking aspects from the subject's parents. The trait theory stated three distinct trait groups, which are present within to build a person's individual personality: cardinals, central, and secondary traits. Cardinal traits refer to the most dominant traits of a person, the most distinct traits. These traits govern a subject's overall life, the trait which would be most associated with the subject. Central traits refer to less dominant traits, general characteristics which form a foundation of a person's personality. Finally, secondary traits refer to traits which are only apparent under certain situations, for example, getting nervous when talking in front of people. According to the trait theory, people's personalities are extremely difficult to change. Therefore, people typically have a very similar personality all throughout their life, with the subject's personality dictating all their decisions in all their situations to fit the person's personality. However, this is where people begin to critique Gordon Althorpe's trait theory. As an often argument towards the trait theory is that people's personalities often adapt and change as people learn and grow as people, which contradicts with the trait theory, which believes people cannot change their personalities, as their personalities dictate all the subject's decisions. However, the trait theory firmly believes that a subject's specific set of traits will remain with them all throughout their life, little to no change. For example, if a subject possesses a secondary trait that they become to get nervous when talking in front of people, according to the trait theory, that will remain relatively unchanged throughout the entirety of their life, which led many people to doubt Gordon Althorpe's trait theory. Moving on from the trait theory to in the 1950s, Mary Friedland and Ray Roseman formed the narrowband theory, which stated there are two contradicting types of personalities, type A and type B, which categorize people based on how they act, with type A people being expected to act neurotically, competitively, and impulsively, whereas type B personality people can be expected to be more calculated and calm. However, in response to the narrowband theory, a common critique within the theory is that it is too limiting, boxing people into two narrow categories where humans are extremely complex beings, rarely fitting purely into type A or type B, with people often merging the two categories, as people's personalities cannot be fully defined simply by dividing them into two linear categories, creating a critique of the narrowband theory. Furthermore, the narrowband theory can be applied to sports, with people defined personalities impacting their sporting performance, with each category characterizing also being present within the sports. Furthermore, leading us to suspect that type A people would act with a strong sense of leadership, being very competitive with a strong urge for victory, which may lead them to frustration and anger. For example, a type A personality would be Andy Murray, who is notorious for his short temper during matches, becoming vexed very quickly within matches due to his extremely competitive nature, whereas type B personalities would be less impulsive, being more likely to follow others than taking leadership themselves. An example of a type B personality would be Mo Farah, who comes across as a calm person during his sport. These examples of athletes highlight a possible connection between personalities and sports, showing that different personalities excel in different sports. For example, type A people may excel in explosive exercises such as tennis, as they work faster and are motivated by their competitiveness to push themselves harder, whereas Type B personalities with a calmer, slower approach may be better suited to endurance exercises, as they may be more patient to pace themselves throughout the exercise, whereas Type A would be more impulsive, leading them to possibly start too quickly, which would lead them to burn out relatively quickly. In addition, in response to Type B personalities, for typically being a calmer individual, this may impact upon their heart rates, as it can be expected that due to them being calmer, they may have a lower resting heart rate, which will aid them in endurance sports, as it will allow them to remain within the aerobic zone for longer, leading me to infer that Type B personalities may be able to sustain aerobic glycolysis for longer periods of time, showing the impact of the narrowband theory personality upon sporting performance. Moving on and developing from both Gordon Althorp's trait theory and Mary Friedman's and Ray Roseman's narrowband theory, Eysenck formed his theory of personality in 1947. Theory of personality. Leading on from the linear ideas of the narrowband theory, Eysenck formed the idea that personalities cannot be described simply along a single line, resulting in Eysenck developing the idea of a spectrum, dividing into 4 defining traits: neurotic, which characterizes unstable traits; stable, which characterizes calm, sociable traits, with each facing section opposing the other. For example, neurotic and stable are polar opposites of one another. This allows people to be placed around the spectrum in correlation with their personal set of traits and characteristics to best determine their personality, allowing a person to be placed in overlaying categories if they apply to more than one sector. As everyone has different levels of each of the 4 sections, Eysenck developments to personalities were groundbreaking, and it showed people's personalities are not black and white. They are extremely complex mixtures of factors, which all aid to build a person's personality. Within Eysenck's theory, he stated his belief that people inherit their biological factors and intelligence from their parents, which are called first-order personality traits, as they are given to the person from their parents. However, Eysenck went on to believe that the people would then develop and learn secondary traits from their environment and experiences, which would aid them to mould the subject's personality through second-order personality traits, ultimately showing that Eysenck believed that some people get their traits from their genes. However, a large portion of the subject's traits are dependent on their environment and experiences when growing up, with both first and second order coming together to form a subject's personality, which with age become fermented and extremely difficult to change, which dependent on their personal set of traits will place them on the graph where they fit most. However, not everyone believes Eysenck's theory is accurate, leading them to them opposing and criticizing the theory, as some believe the theory is sometimes invalid as people's personalities change over time, whereas Eysenck's theory does not follow this belief, as it states that personality are extremely unlikely to change once formed, leading most people to remain in a similar area of the graph all throughout their lives, which many people feel is not correct. Furthermore, another criticism of the Eysenck's theory is in response to inaccuracy, as the process typically relies upon a person placing themselves on the graphs where they seem most suitable. However, when people analyze their own personalities, it is extremely likely they will lie to themselves, leading to inaccurate results, as the theory relies heavily upon honesty of the subject. Observational learning is the theory first formed by Albert Bandura. The theory stated that people's behavior and traits which comprise their personality are obtained from watching others, showing that personalities are adaptable to their environment. However, Bandura's theory also stated that for an observation to have an impact upon a subject's personality, the observation must be reinforced, being observed multiple times. Furthermore, Bandura also believed that people are more likely to engage and actively observe people that they look up to and respect, such as elite athletes and other role models. This is why it is vital for role models in society to set a good standard, as they influence massive numbers of people within society. Furthermore, if they set bad examples, they may influence large numbers of people to also do so and follow their behaviours. Due to this, to their influential position in society as role models. Building upon this, Bandura also believed that people would be more likely to observe people within similar age ranges, genders, and personalities, as they align with the subject's personal belief. In addition, Bandura went on to state in his theory that for observational learning to occur, 4 factors must be present, known as ARMED. ARMED is an acronym. A stands for attention, which refers to the need for a subject to be actively engaged in the subject to fully take in what they have observed. R stands for retaining information, which refers to the need for the subject to memorize the information of what they have observed to avoid forgetting it. Having a good mental retention of the observation allows the subject to form a mental image of what they have observed, increasing the likelihood that the observation will adapt the person's personality. M stands for motor skills, which refers to the need for the subject to have the motor skills to enable them to physically perform the observation. For example, a beginner footballer would not have the motor skills to copy a professional football player. Furthermore, M stands for maintaining the correct difficulty level for the subject, for them to be able to observe and copy it. And D stands for desire. Desire refers to the need for the subject to have motivation to push themselves to take the action on the observation and make an adaptation to their personality. Without the desire, the subject would make no action to create change, leading them to remain in the same position in response to their personality. However, people have criticised Bandura's theory in a multitude of ways, including that Bandura believes all learning is achieved through observation, disregarding inherited personalities from parents. Furthermore, the reason Bandura's belief that all learning is achieved through observation can be debunked by the fact that people in exactly the same situation can behave and react completely differently, which cannot be explained by Bandura's theory, as according to it, if people are exposed to the same situation and environments and experiences, they should act very similar. For example, twins who grow up in the same household are identical in every single way, but they may act completely different. This cannot be explained by Bandura's theory, as if the theory of Bandura was followed, the twins would have a relatively identical personality, leading them to act very similar, creating a strong opposition to Bandura's theory.